Buonasera!
Buonasera, come stai?
Molto bene, e tu?
Bravo, benissimo.
Dear friends, we are in Napa Valley, in the heart of it, in Yonville, with a very famous, illustrious, charming, beautiful Donaldino di Ziraldo, El Principe d'Italia, the man who gave birth to many things. As you can tell, he gave birth to Icewine. But I have a very big question for Donald. How does it feel to be Donald Ziraldo?
Almost as good as Jean-Charles Boisset.
Well, if it feels as good, then we might as well open a bottle
agree.
and celebrate. So, dear friends, we're going to start there. This amazing thing in the world.
What are we drinking, Jean-Charles?
Well, we're drinking champagne, JCB number 44.
Champagne?
Absolutely.
You made this in France?
In France.
Oh.
In this lovely country that conquered Italy a long time ago. 2013 vintage. And this is in honor of your love of fine wines. JCB 44.
Merci. Merci.
So, dear friends, you got to realize you're meeting the emperor, the king, the principe, the Mussolini, the Icewine, the Julius Caesar, the Augustus of innovation. So, Donald, why Icewine and how did it get started?
Well, how long we got? Like
Probably a few hours.
I have to give credit to my partner, Kaiser. You know, Carl Kaiser. Carl married a Canadian, came to Canada, didn't want to drink Canadian baby duck. So he came. I was a nurseryman, pépiniériste. So he came, wanted to buy some grapes.
You were a nurse?
No, nursery.
Because I could see you being a good nurse.
Dottore Ziraldo.
Dottore Ziraldo. Emeritus today.
And so he came to buy some plants where I was growing these vines. Mm-hmm. And I gave him a hybrid, which you guys don't know what that is even in California. Hybrids are a cross between the European Vitis vinifera and the wild Vitis riparia, which, by the way, California claims that they saved the European wine industry 1850s. That is bullshit.
Well said in Italian.
The Vitis riparia grows in the eastern seaboard, Canada, United States.
Right.
But California, I hear the story all the time. Oh, California saved, but anyway, just
You're talking to a Frenchman, so everything is okay.
And it's a French hybrid that I gave him. So he made some wine, brought it to me, and we got the wine license. One day in 1983, after we'd been in business, 10 years, with the first wine license in Canada since Prohibition.
Dear friends, did you hear that? A true entrepreneur, a true innovator.
So it was Al Capone first from the States, and then we took over.
Well, I think it was maybe someone in Italy. Who knows? Maybe, were you sent by the mafia, really? That's what the story goes. That's what I heard in the, phenomenal nightclubs of Toronto many times.
Yeah, that's another story for another time.
We'll save it for chapter 2.
So Kaiser comes to me one morning and he says, listen, I'd like you to leave some grapes on the vine to freeze.
Yeah.
I said, what, you've been drinking too much of your own wine? Are you crazy?
Was he becoming lazy that day?
So I said, fine, man, whatever you say. So we left 13 rows in the driveway coming in. On December the 3rd, 1983, he came back from a conference in the States and he comes in, yeah, I told you not to pick those grapes. I said, Carl, I didn't pick the grapes. I thought you picked them. He said, no, they're all gone. And I said, what do you mean they're all gone? So we walk out, nothing. But there was a foot of snow on the ground. So the birds, which had been eating the seeds and everything, they cleaned it up. By the time we got there, that was the first non-vintage of Icewine.
That's amazing.
Then he phoned his buddies in Austria, and they said, well, you dummy, you have to put netting on to keep the birds. That's the 84 vintage. So that's really
so we
the
won't
birth
taste
of
it. We will never taste
the
84 vintage.
unless you get the birds and cook them.
That's it. It's a pretty good idea.
Well, you better get careful, because we always have these very lovely birds that come and harass us in the vineyard. And honestly, there's some videos that I show you. It looks like a bad Alfred Hitchcock movie because when they're starving in January and there's nothing else, there's these beautiful, luscious bunches of grapes hanging there, no leaves, beautiful snow.
That's right.
Crazy.
Because you wait till January. So as we're having champagne, this is really the creation of Donald Ziraldo. This is his first child. He has another one we're going to talk about. But as you described in the wines, it's about time that we taste it. Because this is Icewine. And this is a An amazing gift, 96 vintage. I know it's hard to see for you. Do you want me to hold it further away?
Hold it between your teeth. This is yours. I'll hold this for you.
So how is your love life? I could see in the chat there's a lot of ladies
I'm
asking.
glad you asked because I
And
just
men,
arrived.
and animals. I mean, everybody's asking. Is he available? He looks sexy.
As a matter of fact, I just arrived, so I was counting on having a bit of an entourage. But
Well, they're all coming. We didn't want any distraction for you. You remember, it's online. They're all with us.
Salut. So this
Amor.
is oak-aged ice wine, which is a bit different because when this whole market started for us after we got the blessing, we didn't say where we became famous.
That's right.
So thanks to the French, I took the wine. A young Frenchman worked for me,
Yeah.
Franck Pironnet.
Yeah, who I know very well.
Nice kid. So Franck
And then he
said,
worked with us too, you know.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was, you know, he loved the Italian, but he liked the French better.
Well,
of
he's a
course.
Frenchman. What are you going to do? You know, we all have our hang-ups.
Cheers, Franck.
So Franck said, I take this back home, and everybody goes crazy. And he said, you should take it to Vinexpo, put it in the competition. In 1991,
Yeah.
the 1989 Vidal ice wine, which is also a
Yeah.
French hybrid,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, won not only a gold medal, but the University of Bordeaux Professori
Yeah.
picked it as the best dessert wine in the world. Now,
Can you imagine we in Bordeaux ahead of so many? I hear there's a pretty famous dessert wine in Bordeaux, right?
Chateau de Kiem, is
I
that
think it starts with a Y. That must be it. And there's a few others
A few,
as
yeah.
well in Hungary, in Tokai.
Guy Vinsanto in Italia.
That's right. And you ranked number one. How did it feel?
Yeah,
Because your ego was a little smaller than
I
today.
was.
wasn't it?
I was like
Did
this.
it help to build it?
Phew. After that, I was on a platform. You couldn't get up there. And
I'm
that-
putting high hills later tonight.
It was like being blessed by the Pope, if you're Italian, to have the French give you the Grand Prix d'honneur. It was like winning the Olympics and the
That's
Oscars
right.
at the same time. And then the whole world. And Japan was who noticed.
Now, Donald, you started the story of the netting.
Yes.
But I think what would be great for everyone in a nutshell, because we have so many topics to cover, to explain us a little bit about how it's made. So you wait till it freezes and snows.
No. We start at the harvest.
Yeah.
Have you tasted it?
Yeah, look at that. I've drank
I
half
want to
of
see
it.
because that enthusiasm might really get overwhelming.
Mi piace molto, mi piace molto.
So, normal harvest here, October, even September. So we leave the grapes on the vine after the harvest. We put the netting over top, and we've learned that we have to leave the bottom open so the leaves fall through.
That's right.
So in about, I'd say, early December, the leaves are all off. There's these beautiful bunches hanging there. We close the net, and then we sit and wait, and wait, and wait, and wait.
You pray.
And we pray and wait some more. And then we wait for the temperature to be by appellation contrôlée, which is we call the Vintners Quality Alliance,
Yes.
VQA. It has to be -8 or colder, Celsius, which is 15 Fahrenheit.
I assume so.
You know what?
Yeah. It never
Yeah.
gets to that temperature in California,
No.
so I never get to
No, you're at
record
the
and
other end.
remember it. We get hot here,
I
remember?
know, like today, it's a beautiful day. So at that time, we then go out and pick. Normally, we pick at night
Yeah.
because it's very quiet. The birds are sleeping. They're not competing with us to pick the grapes when we take the netting off. And it's also calm. The other issue is if you think of this as the berry
Yes.
and it's -8, and if the sun were up,
Yes.
it hits that berry, it can change the temperature by 5 degrees. So
For
all of a
sure.
sudden you are breaking the law because in order to make sure that you don't cheat, because think about it, even here you leave the grapes on for an entire year.
Yeah.
You work them, all the labor, all the work you do, and then you pick them once. Well, we not only do that, then we wait for the winter.
Mm-hmm.
The grapes, they dehydrate.
Yeah.
The birds, they desiccate, so that sometimes you get 10% of the normal yield.
Yeah.
So we have to leave them on the vine, and we have Icewine police, which you would call inspectors,
Yeah.
and they go around with a thermometer and make sure that it's
Wow.
-8. It's
Do they take your temperature as well once in a while?
just when I
'Cause you're
get
still hot in the-
excited. When I get excited about the temperature changing, and then I get really upset.
How hot
Yeah.
do you get your body? Because
My
I've seen it
temperature,
pretty hot before.
when not in the vineyard, it's controlled.
Okay, good. No netting for Donald Ziraldo, except in nightclubs. I've seen him on nets in nightclubs in Toronto. Do you remember that was the
I
ivory?
thought we were going to talk.
The ivory.
Remember, you know who we lost to ivory? My friend Mario Schwen from Dievole.
Yeah.
I left him there one night. Haven't seen him since.
Yeah, he left with two beautiful women, and we never saw him again.
Well, that's another story. Have you seen him since?
Yes.
Yes.
But in any case, the Ivory was the iconic nightclub where Donald Ziraldo was holding court with magnums and 3 liters of ice wine. That was phenomenal. That was the heydays. We needed nets to hold him.
I thought we weren't going to talk about those.
Okay, so we harvest the grapes.
Harvest the grapes.
Then we press them.
So it's -8. So then the idea is that you got to bring the grapes in and press them outside. And we don't use the more modern presses. We use the old basket presses.
Yeah.
Like my dad used, called it torchio.
The vertical press.
Yeah,
right?
we call it torchio, Italiano.
Torchio. The instrument of torture.
And the reason is because when you press these frozen grapes and they have to stay frozen, they turn into a hard puck and you can't move it, breaks the equipment. So the torchio, you disassemble it, puck comes out and you press. So we get about 10% of the yield. The secret to great ice wine, not only -8 or less, we like to pick at -10, so you get a concentration. But when you're pressing them, the friction, the heat melts the water.
Yeah.
So you can dilute it. So you want to pick only the best free run to get the highest quality. As any wine business, you got premium, you got less, and it's all a function of the quality you want to maintain in the wine.
Yeah.
And then we ferment it. Very difficult because the yeast doesn't like that much sugar. So the problem is that you've got a problem with stuck fermentation,
For sure.
you're familiar with, and it happens a lot because of the high concentration. Yeah. The wine ferments to about 9% alcohol, and left over is all the beautiful sugar. You got 250 grams per liter. But the secret in Canada...
It's like honey, dear friends. It's the honey of wine.
Viscous, pores, a lot of viscosity. But the secret is the acidity. So what we have in Canada is cool climate, cool viticultural area. Here you've got this heat, which I know is causing you some difficulty because it gets too ripe. The acidity drops.
It's never right.
Yeah, and the wine's difficult to manage. So our very high acidity and that magnificent sugar, the equilibrium is the secret. So it sweeten the front, and then the acidity cleans your palate, and it's ready for foie gras.
Ooh la la! What you would pair it with foie gras?
Absolutely.
Is that the best?
The best. Yeah.
So how does it feel to go to the French for a dish to pair it as an Italian? Does it hurt inside that you have to
like
go
to
over the
spread
border?
it around.
Oh, good.
Give you guys a break.
Thank you.
In case nobody heard of foie gras.
That's so generous of you. Hey, Donald, I've noticed the insects are going around your feet. You're not wearing any socks.
That's Italian. Like Italians don't wear socks. Have you not noticed?
I have. They typically don't wear any shoes either. But I'm glad someone must have gotten you shoes today.
No. I just thought I'd come, looking Italian. You're looking. Is this French, by the way?
Always. But I have some socks for you.
Wow.
So if I wear them, they get more value.
Really?
So you have an option today. I'm going to offer you socks, JCB socks.
So if I drink this champagne and I give it back to you,
that's the same. Oh, do you want some new ones? Hey, dear friends, I'm very pleased to offer, and I've selected not the Burgundy one, the one with alpaca, so you could feel that beautiful animal caressing your feet. Look at that. Those are JCB socks.
Amazing.
Now you're part of the Red Sox Society.
This cult.
Yeah. It's a cult. It's a secret society. We know each other by just doing. Here we go.
Together?
Well, we do it together. Show everyone your legs.
Yeah. Should I put the socks on? I guess I should.
Well, it would be nice. You don't have to do that on the show. It may take some time to bend over and unlace your shoes. Do you need some help? I can do that for you.
Thank you.
I'm afraid of the smell. He just arrived after long traveling.
That's the aroma. You're used to smelling wine aromas. Let me try it out.
Let me help you. So, Donald, tell us about your sport activities, because you're an amazing athlete. Skiing.
That's it, skiing. Oh, and cycling, because I cycle to stay in shape for skiing.
That's
like
right.
every Italian.
Do you want JCB on the inside of your leg or the outside?
Outside.
I give you the option.
Outside. Absolutely. Isn't that the way it's supposed to wear them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Dear friends, it's a historical moment. Donald Ziraldo himself. You can see, ladies.
Next time, you know what? I'm going to go back to Ivory. They're going to probably say, hey, it's JCB's here.
You may have a chance again. So,
look at that.
explain us.
Perfect fit too. How did you know my size?
Well, I size you up. That's the other one. Well, you could wear one with, one without.
Yeah,
that could be very
right.
cool.
Our prime minister is into socks. Can I get
Is
a pair
he?
for him?
Oh, for
Justin,
sure.
Mr. Trudeau?
There's another one I really like of your prime minister. He's the prime minister of the world. It's the Pope.
Yeah,
He likes Red
silly.
Sox too.
Yeah, he was in Canada just last month.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was paying a visit. He didn't call me. I don't know why.
Well, typically he would, but to confess you have to spend way too much time.
That's right. He'd be there for a month, right?
So we have a lot of friends.
Can I try something really crazy?
Yeah. Let's blend it. I agree. Love the idea. So on that note,
Have a little taste.
Dear friends, Donald became extremely successful, not only creating a new category, new wine for Canada, an exceptional wine, a wine with unbelievable international aura, distribution in over probably 90 countries, in every duty-free around the world. How did you account this success and why?
Specifically, when I was receiving the Grand Prix d'Honneur in Bordeaux at Vinexpo, I made sure that we got a photographer over to take a picture of me receiving the award. We posted it in a fax machine.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have social media then. So this what we're doing here.
Well,
didn't
I know
exist.
you still faxed me last night. I'm glad. But, you remember the telex? We still use it between each other so nobody understands
That's right.
what we say.
It's top secret. Nobody else has one.
It's like Morse.
And the Japanese who come to Niagara Falls,
Yeah.
lots of them, they would come to the winery because it's just, by the way, Niagara Falls is just up the road from us,
Yeah.
which leads me, before I go back to the Japanese, why our region is so unique.
Yeah.
It's about the same size as Napa Valley, the
Yeah.
Niagara Peninsula, and the escarpment, which is where Niagara Falls started, 12,000, it's carved its way back. So that escarpment and the Lake Ontario, which is one of the 5 Great Lakes, that climate is a microclimate, and that allows us to grow Vitis vinifera, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir.
That's right.
Above the escarpment, nothing, because it's too cold. And it's about the same size, as I said, as Napa, viticultural-wise.
So 50,000 acres at the most.
Yeah, most. We're not there yet. We're working on it. And so that's the region where we are. And so if you ever come to visit Niagara Falls, come and see us. Which,
Of
by the way,
course.
I haven't seen you in years. Why aren't you not
Well,
coming?
I was afraid to come and see you. No, he was not there because he was in Colorado skiing.
Yes. So the Japanese were coming to the winery with the photo, Icewine, Icewine. So I thought, I'm going to go to Japan. So I went to Japan, and I spent a lot of time there. And most of it for them is gift giving. Because,
Yes.
they have tradition of giving gifts when they return from trips.
Well, and that's a beautiful presentation as well.
That's an olive oil bottle.
Yeah.
I
Gorgeous
had a little
package.
dinky little Canadian beer bottle at first.
Yeah.
And you'll know the C dimension, this one.
Yeah.
The beer bottle has flares, right? So all the sugar would seep out, it'd be a disaster. So this is perfect. And now it's the standard for ice wine around the world. Even
And
the
you started that
even the
standard.
Germans.
Wow.
Who, by the way, we should give credit to the Germans for inventing ice wine
Yeah.
back in the 17th century.
Is it?
Yeah, it was their idea. So
Was it in Austria or Germany?
Germany. Austria stole it from the Germans, and we stole it from the Austrians.
And why the name? Because I'd love for you to tell us the story of what you've done with the Native Americans, or the Native Canadians in that case, which was quite amazing. Inniskillin.
That was great. So we went out to the Okanagan because there are 2 wine regions in Canada. Well, there's more, but the 2 primary ones was Niagara Peninsula and then the Okanagan Valley,
Yeah.
which is just above Washington State, very much similar. So when we went out there, we were involved with the winery Brights, and we consolidated, and you got involved with us, and we created all these things. And then we'll even talk about our joint venture, Clos
We
Jordan.
we could.
So
It may need another episode.
yeah,
for
I
that
think so.
one.
Yeah, and I have to bring a bottle of it so we can taste.
Yes.
That's right. And the evolution from one to the other.
Yeah.
So when I went out there, when we were meeting with the board of directors, they said there's a vineyard out here, but it's just a very small
They
one.
keep coming to you. Is it a special cream you're wearing?
No, it's just the ice wine that I tapped on.
I think
we do
so.
an ice wine perfume.
You see, he even attracts insects and bees. In the old days, he used to put ice wine on his body, and he was covered with love and passion. I like that. They're still coming. God, never lose a beat with Donald
You
Ziraldo.
should try it.
You're right. I'm going to do it. Maybe as Vino Santo.
There you go.
You'll see them coming.
Yeah, that's right. Now, don't go anywhere else with that. Where were we? In Japan?
Yeah, no, you were how you
Oh,
got the name
yes, the
Inniskillin.
indigenous people. So when I went out to look at the vineyard, I noticed this beautiful Merlot Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's a semi-arid desert. It's even drier than the Napa Valley. So we said, look, can we do something together? We did basically a joint venture. They grew the grapes, and I did Inniskillin Napa. Oh, that was here. Inniskillin Okanagan.
Yeah.
And we used the petroglyphs that they had painted on the rocks and so on as the branding.
Yeah,
and
gorgeous presentation.
And great people. You know, they love the land, as you know.
Yeah.
You told me that this was the center Wapu Hill, call it, where you
that's
are
right.
here, which is where the native Indians from your region live.
That's it.
And in the Okanagan, this is called the Inkamip tribe. And they now have a winery. They have 800 acres of vineyard. Very, very, very successful operation.
And you really brought the two together. Was it a difficult negotiation, or it happened very nicely?
It was so much fun, but I tell you, it's a cultural experience.
Yeah.
Because they like one day I'd be sitting waiting, you know, like this. We have a meeting at 11 o'clock, and it's 11:30, 12, 12:30, and
no one.
They walk in, sit down, and they start talking, and I'm like, so after the second or third meeting, I said, guys, am I missing something? And they said, no, why? I said, well, like, you know, we had a meeting at 11 o'clock. You didn't come till 12:30, and no, well, we had to go hunting. The season just opened, and okay, I got it. So they very much, they don't clock doesn't mean anything to them.
That's right.
But it was a great cult, but they have a great respect for the land.
The rhythm of life is different than the lunar calendar. It's hunting. I mean, the cadence of life is different measurements.
And I think we're going back to that, because I don't know if you're doing it here with these issues you've got with fires, but a lot of the indigenous people are being asked back to manage the forest,
of course,
and do controlled burns,
as they should.
Yeah, and they control it, you know, very well, and that's tradition with them. We, you know, forgot all those great ideas.
Well, I think all those times, don't you think, allows us to think back and to bring back the heritage that we've lost. That is so important.
I noticed here, it's been 10 years since I've been here.
Yeah.
I could not believe the hillsides, how parched, and like you lost a lot. I mean, sterling burnt, meadowwood burnt. It was unbelievable. It must have been pretty scary.
Can you show us a little bit about fire burning boundaries and what we should do?
No, I'd have to get Chief Clarence. I'd have to come, and I can send him down. I'm sure he'd be happy to help you out.
Well, it's exactly what we're doing now, which is very important. Now, so you build Inniskillin.
Yes.
And you hit the jackpot. You decide to sell it. We had multiple partnership with Donald. We had so much fun together. We'll tell you another time. You decide now to start another project. So tell us a little bit about, that was the first tranche of his life.
That was my first baby.
Yeah, and the first baby really created, dear friends, a category. When you come from Italy with nothing, and you create an amazing winery, a category, and obviously a world phenomenon, this is a huge success. So first and foremost, joke aside, I want to felicitazione.
Grazie. Grazie.
Because this is a big deal, dear friends. Because it's one thing to witness success really 30 years later, and to say from 1991 World Award, you know, retrospectively, this is obvious. But when you have to do it, build it. And I have great emotion to tell you this, because I've seen Donald and met Donald very early on. I had even the pleasure to taste your mother's food.
How old were you then when I met you?
I was 5. But it was in the last century, you remember? So, great accolade to Donald, and great success. I mean, when you look back, what do you think about this?
You know, I tell you what really is most exciting is the people that I met that are in this industry.
Yes.
Characters like you,
Yes.
you know, Antinori, Moldavi, Condor Salus from Chateau d'Yquem, you know, and these people inspired me, because I'd see, and they would share information, knowledge. You know, to them it was like art. Yeah. You know, I'm a great artist. If you think you can do better than me, here, I'll teach you all what I know.
That's
and
right.
then it's up to you to perform.
Big lesson of life. We should have nothing to hide, don't you think?
Absolutely. There's no secrets in wine. We've been making wine for... Who invented wine, by the way? Italians. Yeah, the Italians, the Romans.
Hey, with a name like Ziraldo, origin in the north, in the middle, in the south, and the Sicily mafioso, I will never challenge him, of course. The Italian... I'm wearing an Italian jacket today.
I hope so.
In honor of Donaldo Ziraldino. So now...
The second one?
The second one.
That wasn't this one. It was a guy named Aspen, my son,
Yes.
my 9-year-old. He was the next. That's why I left. We had a hostile takeover. I decided to walk off into the sunset, and then I got bored and started making wine again.
How is it for you, as the most wanted man by every single fabulous woman in the world?
You know, I had one problem with that.
Yes.
You showing up in Toronto.
Well, we won't tell you the details, but one day. And now you have a son. How does it feel?
Awesome. I just met your lovely daughter.
Yes.
And, I don't have to tell you, it's like all of this is very much fun and exciting and it's good for the ego, but that's another experience that is
Well,
hard
the
to
good
explain.
news is, from all the pictures I've seen, maybe you use Photoshop, but he seems to look like you.
I did. I tried to fix it up a little bit. He's got hair, though. That's the big
Oh,
difference.
well, I think you look good without.
Thanks.
Yeah. When I met Donald, he had big curly hair like his son today.
Afro, yeah.
And he started to shave his chest. That was your first step in life.
That's right.
But I think it looks good this way.
You should try it.
Yeah,
Because
I did.
I don't mean to disrespect, but, you'd probably... This will take the rest of it off.
Well, I'm holding to the few. Do you like my color too?
Yeah, yes.
I did a little color for
Did you?
you. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I enlightened you a little bit.
Yeah. So what color was it before you
Well, it
painted
was very black, Italian black,
Right.
Sun and Sicilian, Palermo area,
Yeah.
So now you launch your own, which I've always wanted you to do. And dear friends, this label is very reminiscent of the Great Gatsby era, the Art Deco.
I hear you're throwing a party on Saturday.
Absolutely. I
Can I-
hope you're going to be,
Oh, I was going to fly home, but
well, you're always invited.
can I come?
Of course.
Cool.
So, dear friends, Donald had the nicest, most amazing apartment in Toronto. I will never forget the pinnacle of Art Deco decoration. And you've always been a fan of that era. Why?
When I bought the property to build Inniskillin, because I'd hit quicksand where we were in the old packing shed, two guys in a garage, there was a bathroom in there. Pink, yellow, and black glass tile. I was a little nervous, I thought, this might, give people the wrong impression. But then a buddy of mine who collects Art Nouveau, which is the period just before Art Deco. For those of you who don't know, Art Deco is 1925. Again, France, the great exhibition.
I hate for you to have to acknowledge that. Doesn't
Well,
it hurt
I give credit where credit's due.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And all the other things that the Italians outperform with you guys.
Hey, I need to confess publicly, without the Italian, the Renaissance in France,
That's
François
right.
I would have never happened.
Pizza would have never happened.
Well,
Like,
that
a lot of
would-
things.
it creates a lot of problems in my waistline, but we're on the Art Deco.
Yeah, I know.
I know,
Keep
it was a
jumping
long
around.
time ago. So he
Going
was
back.
giving us a lecture, Art Deco, Art Nouveau. Who is first again?
Art Nouveau, then Art
Okay.
Deco. And,
1925, right?
and then so the house was there. And I
You were
was,
already 150 at the time.
That's right.
so-
So I was well advanced and, mature. So I thought, wow, this is rather interesting. And then I noticed when I went to France, when I went to San Francisco, because after the fire, you had here, 1917? It was all rebuilt in the 20s, which is
Yeah.
all Art Deco. So I noticed everywhere I went, Art Deco here. So it became sort of my collectible, as you have this, I'm not sure, what kind of eclectic
I'm
collection
not
do we
sure.
call, what do you call this?
It's a collage.
Enfant collage.
A collage of pop modern art.
Cool, awesome, unbelievable stuff. And so my focus is on Art Deco, so that's where this came from. And this particular one,
Yeah.
they're at the Toronto Stock Exchange in Toronto.
Yes.
When they built it, they took the Design Exchange doors, which
Yes.
was all done by a guy named Sullivan, and there was 11 of them, one representing each industry. So I took the one and made a few
Love it.
adaptations. You can't see it here, unfortunately, but
No, we'll zoom
you
in.
can flash it in.
Dylan knows how to zoom in. We'll show you all the pictures as it will come into
So
the
there's
chats.
a great press. The guy that was there was converted to a Mother Nature. That's her there.
Wow. Big deal.
The sun and the grapes. So that became sort of the focus. So I've always had a love of art, which is part of the Italian culture.
For sure, and part of life. What is, anyhow, the world without art?
And good wine and good food.
So where can we find, and dear friends, we will have Ziraldo for sale, not Donald Ziraldo, although he could be acquired.
Especially with that red
I'll
socks.
take a minor commission. The only commission I would want is we'll put the camera on and we'll watch. This would be a Fellini movie. Where can we find Ziraldo now?
Well, right now it's in Paris,
Great.
Paris. It's in Hong Kong. It's in Japan. In the East Coast, oddly enough, I haven't come out west for 10 years.
Well,
so
you're here. So we'll have it, dear friends, at the Oakville Grocery.
that
First order done, live,
that
Oakville
would
Wine
be
Merchant.
a great honor.
Dear friends, if we get the wines, we may get Don to come more often. So
Absolutely.
we will make a special order.
We
of
were, by the way, we
VQA.
were at the Oakville Grocer today with my friend John and Sandra
Of course.
Petrella, who I think you're going to meet later.
We hope
And
so.
they're here with me to sort of share the Napa Valley with the world.
Yes.
Because they were kind enough to follow me around Italy. By the way, I bought a winery in Italy, Prosecco.
Wow.
My roots, I had to go.
I've heard of Prosecco. What is
See.
it? Is it
It's-
port style wine?
It's
or is
this without the bouteille. So it's
They're copying the French Prosecco. Prosecco.
No, it's the real
Is it
Italian
good?
version. Mine, of course. I
Yeah.
think I
Is it named Ziraldo the same way?
see, of course.
Well,
What do you
give us
think?
a few cases. We'll promote it. So, Donald, you've done so much in your life, and we've covered, dear friends, sadly, just 35 minutes of great stories on the fundamental of the history of Canadian wines, the VQA, and what Donald has started. You see the entrepreneur never loses sense of humor, always fun, never takes himself seriously, and that's the big lesson of life. What is your big lesson of life?
Yeah, well, that's a good one. I think that the passion that one has, and my job now is to try to infuse that not only to my son, because that's why it's Ziraldo.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would have rode off in the sunset, found a nice mountain in Colorado, and just stayed there and skied.
Well, that's a pretty good name, though.
Yeah, and I thought, it'd be nice. Maybe he wants to be a ski bum, or maybe he wants to do wine, or be a chef, because his grandfather was a chef. But I think that my job now is to mentor younger people, to inspire them, and tell them, listen, we've all gone through the rough times. I remember carrying your bags from the restaurant when I had the Out of the Oise. Remember that?
Yeah, of course.
And you were torn because your dad said, you want to be in this business, you got to give up the party in California, come back here and get serious. And I knew you were traumatized by that statement, right?
He did not exactly say that, but,
He told me that.
there was
And
no
look-
partying. I
and-
was
and look-
a monk. I was at the monastery of Grace Cathedral.
You
You
never
should have
told me
known
that.
that. Oh, well, there's a lot of things you don't know.
Well, you were going to be a monk? No kidding. Yeah.
It's the hidden secret of my life.
Well, I don't think you would have made a good monk, to be honest.
Well,
with you.
thank you. You look like
There's a
good
part
one.
of it. There's a part of it that just wouldn't fit. I don't think.
So, is there something you haven't done in your life? What would that be?
No, I think I've been there, done that. I think, like I said, now it's important for me to sort of help young people and find them, to give them the courage. Especially these days, there's so much going on. There's so much. The world's getting a little crazy, and everybody just has to sort of think, look, it's been there, it's been done before. It's always been difficult times, and I think people just need to sort of focus on what they do and passionately engage in the career or whatever it is that they aspire to do. And if they can't find something, then just go party.
You know how to do that as well. So, dear friends, didn't we get so fortunate? Donald Ziraldo himself, on a visit to California, and by accident we caught him. The net was working. And we have him. You'll be able to find the Ziraldo wine, and I commit to that. We'll have to taste the Prosecco against the champagne. But I'm sure it has its place somewhere on the shelf.
You might get the odd Italian pop in,
We never know. We heard it's a pretty exciting
Listen, there's a lot of
category.
Italian. You kind of like infringed on the Italian mafioso here in Napa. The Martinis, the Mondavis, all of the Italians. And you just show up.
I heard even of the Gallows, too.
Ouch! How could I forget?
Well,
I'm sorry. My
there's a
apologies.
few.
My apologies.
But I
to
heard
Gina.
the 21st century is the era of the French.
Really?
We are back, big time. We were here with Beaulieu Vineyards, in
That's true.
1901.
Yeah, Andrei Chalachev.
Here we are,
Yeah.
and we are back.
You just took a bit of a gap there, a rest right in between.
We'll always need that. We learn from history, and we're here to create history. Dear friends, the man who created history, the famous Donaldo Ziraldo. Woo!